My name is Mazlan Abbas. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Faber IoT, and today I will be talking more about the IR 4.0 and IoT, the new frontier. And actually, I would like to say thank you very much to Learninpal and MPH, in fact, for the opportunity, because Learninpal is actually a new e-learning system which will be launching soon. So guys, if you like to click like, you can share or even comment on this Learninpal page. So there'll be more webinars here, so you have to like this page. And for those who are watching in the MPH publishing page, so Learninpal and like this particular page. Okay, so after that we can have this good interaction for Q&A in between. So if you have more questions, you just put your comment there. All right, so what exactly is Internet of Things and the IR 4.0? And there is some misconception about this. And did you know that the term IR 4.0 have been coined by Kevin Ashton many years back? There was sometimes in 1999. Really, that was a very long time ago. And in fact, for us here in Malaysia, in many other countries too, some of them just only heard this term quite recently. And what happened is that if you want to know when exactly Malaysia, for example, let's say Malaysia, when exactly that you yourself try to Google the word Internet of Things. When? Is it last year? Is it 2 years back? Or is it 3 years ago? Basically, when exactly Malaysian try to Google the word Internet of Things? So if you look at Internet of Things, when you look at Google Trend, you basically will know when exactly the Malaysians are trying to understand, hey, what is IoT? So in 2014, the trend starts to increase. And that's where Malaysia start to learn more and more about IoT. And the term Industrial Revolution 4.0. So in 2018, that exactly when Malaysian launched the industry forward. Remember, that was sometime end of 2018. And that's where Malaysians start to understand what is Industry 4.0, what is Industrial Revolution 4.0. Basically, if you need to understand the IR 4.0 and the Industry 4.0 or Industry Forward that Malaysian launch is slightly different. I will tell you later, because the Industry 4.0 is more on one segment, one sector, one industry, which is the smart manufacturing. But there's a lot of other sectors, industries, which have not been covered by that framework itself, the Industry Forward. So, why is it so important for us to move into this new era? We need to see that and understand that every 3 to 7 years, organizations need to reinvent themselves. According to Boston Consulting, for example, they said the last 50 years, only 90% of these companies are still in existence today. And it's the survival in the 21st century. We don't want to be obsolete so fast. So because technology is moving very fast nowadays, we are unable to catch up. But a lot of companies who are slow in catching up with new technologies, their products, their solutions, their services can be obsolete very fast. I'm sure you remember this, and the way that we do things, right? The way that we take our photos using, the Kodak, the film. Now it's all in digital form. So your camera is actually your smartphone. The way that we listen things on cassette recorder is now on Spotify. It's all digital. It's streaming directly to you. Thousands and millions of songs that you are capable of learning. You have the ability to listen. Okay, the things that we see, visual, VHS recorder, is no longer there, and everything now streaming to YouTube, iFlix, Netflix. These are all the things. And who's actually the culprit? Who's the thing that actually take all the jobs? The way that we listen things, make communications, listening to music, taking photos, making listening to radio or TV, or send email, send postage email and all that, calendar, is all being taken care by one digital device, which is fully integrated into one. So that device, the convergence of technologies is so rapid, and it really obsolete all these devices. You no longer carry multiple devices in your bag. You can only carry one single device. So what happened is that these ripples of technologies, I would call, these ripples of technologies, when you see a pebble is being dropped into a water, you can see a ripple. But when you see multiple pebbles or rocks being thrown into the water, you see bigger ripples. And when these ripples converge together, it becomes a wave. And a wave that converge another wave become a tsunami. So a tsunami happens in the world of internet. So the fixed internet, the first wave of tsunami of internet, we call it, is the fixed internet. So the moment when everyone have the ability to browse the internet using their mobile, that's the second wave of tsunami. The third tsunami is actually the Internet of Things. When everything that you can think of can be connected to the internet, that's where the IoT comes in place. So to understand what Internet of Things is, you need to understand there are four main components, because people misunderstood what exactly IoT is. So if you have all these four components, you are actually providing a Internet of Things services or products. So the first one is the sensors and the actuators. And sensors, which human sensors that we have, the five sensors, some people say you have 6 sensors. The 5 sensors, which is analog form, can be turned into digital. And digital can be in many forms: temperature, humidity, pressure, gas, your camera, your mic, your proximity sensors, GPS. All of these sensors are now in digital form. So the second component is all about connectivity. So the connectivity can be in many forms too. So you can be as close as your body area network, or it can be even as far as, from body area network, you can have like RFID, NFC, near field communications. You can have Zigbee. You can have even Bluetooth, and then you can have a further away like Wi-Fi. You can have even 3G, 4G, 5G. You can use even satellite. But sometimes it can also goes on fixed network too. So regardless whether it's fixed or wireless, the connectivity must be there. So it depends. But now we have a new solutions. We have new technologies like the narrowband IoT, NB-IoT. We have like Sigfox. We have like LoRa. These are the new IoT network, which is can send data. The coverage is much further away because of the lower frequency, but it can send smaller amount of data. Of course, there are 5G, which is the current technology, which is meant for, it's a very delay sensitive network. You can have different kind of applications for IoT. You can embed devices inside a car, so you can have autonomous car, for example, right? So then you can have for operating, so you can have robots being controlled from very remote. So you need very delay sensitive kind of network. 5G is meant for that. So the third component is where the IoT middleware comes in place. The IoT middleware sits between the hardware, as I mentioned to you, the sensors, and also the applications. So it's in between. So it aggregates all the sensor data, which comes in various forms, various formats, various protocols. So then it allows the people who design the applications, develop the applications, to easily use the data, extract the data, create a new apps, build insights, create new workflows. This is the fourth layer, the applications and the analytics. So you have these four main components for IoT. Okay. So people say that you have a lot of devices. Just imagine, like personally myself, I have a phone, I have an iPad, I have a smartwatch, I have blood pressure. It's all wireless. I have nowadays you have a speaker which is wireless too. You have what you call that lighting system which is wireless. My weighing machine is also wireless. It can track my weight daily, every time I stand up on the weight, it will push this data to the cloud, and it also can tweet. So you can check out my weight on my Twitter, so you can actually can see whenever I stand up on the weighing machine, it will just tweet to the whole world. Okay, and there is this device, what we call a Foci. Foci is a great device, IoT device. It's wireless. It's using Bluetooth. It sends the data to the phone. So what happened is that this device, it measures your breathing pattern. So it has an artificial intelligence inside here. It understands the way that your breathing pattern, and that breathing pattern is translated into your mood. So it says that you are calm, you are focused, you are tension, you are tense. So using this device, I use this device that I wear, put on my belt. It measures my breathing pattern daily, and it can tells me whether when I'm working I'm very distracted or not. So that's how people use IoT solutions, right, for this consumer device. Okay, and then what you're looking at now is that we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, but do you know that what exactly is the first, the second, or the third industrial revolution? When exactly that this thing happens? So that was in the early days. So in 1780, something like that. That's when people use mechanization, steam power engine, and all that. And people use physical tools. And by the end of the 1800s, this is where electricals have been introduced. And that's 2.0. Automation comes in, internet, electronics. That is 1960s, 1970s. So today we are in the era of Industry 4.0, what we call the cyber physical systems, the Internet of Things, intelligence. But I would prefer to test you guys, okay, which era are we in by understanding the technology and how we live in these different eras. Because you might say that we are in 2020, but are we still living in the era of 4.0, or are we still living in the old era? Okay. To understand that, let's take a look at the 1.0. So if you are living in 1.0, basically you are using manual and physical tools. So if you are living in, I would say, 2.0, you are using electrical items, electrical devices, electrics only, right? So switch on, switch off. It's simple like that. But you are living in the era of 3.0. That's where you are living in the internet world, electronics. You're using database, IT systems, of course. But the moment you're living in the era of 4.0, intelligence comes in. Technologies such as robotics, drones, blockchain, IoT, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality. Oh, that's a lot. So there's so many technologies that comes in this particular era. So if you are living and using this technology in this era, then you are in the 4.0. But take a look at what Industry Forward does. So they have defined the 11 pillars or the 9 pillars of technologies. So, for example, big data analytics, AI, augmented reality, cybersecurity, Internet of Things, autonomous robots, advanced material. These are the enabling technologies only meant for smart manufacturing. But you need to understand there are other verticals, other sectors, other industries which require different kind of technologies, which is 4.0 but in a different environment. For example, if you are in the industry of construction 4.0, you will not use the same pillar of technology for the manufacturing sector because it doesn't apply the same thing. So you might have a prefabrication technology, advanced building materials. You need to have building information systems. But of course, you might have a common technology such as IoT, augmented reality, virtual reality, robotics, big data analytics. So these are the technologies which is the same as the Industry Forward. But if you are in the healthcare business, healthcare industry, you might have used a different technology altogether. You might define your own blueprint or your own framework, and depending on which industry that you're in. In education sector, it can be totally different. Agriculture, it can be totally different. So the question is, maybe I would like to see whether you have answers here or not. So thank you guys for watching this. I see that Dayang, Audrey, David have coming in. All right. Audrey, thanks. Take a look at which era that we're living in. I give you a test. This survival test. Which industrial revolution are we now? Okay. Take for example, in the education. Remember the times when you use whiteboard and a blackboard that are in the era 1.0 because it's physical. You manual things. You are in that era 1.0. But if your classroom have a overhead projector, a transparency, that's electrical, switch on, switch off, the lights on, you can see your transparency. That's 2.0. Right. But 3.0 is when you use internet, maybe online, the ability to have Zoom conference, which we have been using now during the lockdown. And the era of 4.0, where you can even use augmented reality, virtual reality, or even your teacher can be a robot. That's when the era of 4.0 is. Okay? So that is in the education. So the question is, which era are we still in? I mean, your schools, your universities. You guess. That's your guess, right? You can see. In the shopping era, if you are doing shopping, if you are still using cash, exchanging cash, you are still in the era 1.0. But if you're using cash register, or maybe a calculator to calculate what's your balance, that's 2.0. But then, if you are working, if you are transaction using a credit card, you are in 3.0. Of course, if you're using smartwatch, Apple Watch, making a transaction, e-wallet, I think people here in KL have been doing that for quite some time, and that's the era of 4.0. So Audrey mentioned that maybe Malaysia is in IR 3.0. But it depends on which industry you are. Some of them in 2.0, right? So that's the main question. So if you guys are online, you can take a guess. Okay, which era are we in? And we have been doing that. We have been asking these questions to a lot of our industry partners, and even before Malaysia launched the industry forward, we asked them. Before they even do a total readiness assessment, we ask them, which era are you in? And they say that they are in 2.7. Yeah, right, 2.7. Because you got to understand, in the urban area, you are lucky enough to be utilizing all these newest and latest technologies. But in rural areas, they are still lacking of a lot of infrastructure. Even internet is not there. So the moment you don't have internet, you are still within the era of 2.0. So at least once you have internet in, you are living in the era of 3.0. But once you have the internet and you upgrade yourself with augmented reality, virtual reality, robots, drones, okay, that's 4.0. That's how we take a look at. So where exactly when we have this PKP, our lockdown education system. So the moment we are disconnected, not disconnected, the moment we are out of touch, we don't have a means for us to go to the schools, to the classroom, to the lectures. So we have to depend on the technology, and the basic technology should be on the 3.0, which is internet, and that's where you have Zoom, Google Classroom, Google Meetup, WebEx, all of this Microsoft Teams. So you're using that technology, and that's using 3.0. But do you think that we are using augmented reality or virtual reality, or do you have a robots to teach you as a teacher? But maybe in the healthcare side, you see that we have been launching and rolling out services using robots, right, to take care of you, sending you food, medical, cleaning up, so using robots. So only when that situation, you are living in the 4.0. So Fazluna Abirachin mentioned that we are still in 3.0. Of course, yeah, 3.0. So my question is, if our country adopt IoT and IR 4.0, what will impact to the economy? human resources, manpower. We will not need man to control machine. Yeah, so that's what a lot of people are scared. Whenever we introduce new technology, do you think that IR 4.0 will replace us? There are cases where, of course, example in Japan, in SoftBank, they replace the customer service with these robots. So the robot will become the customer service. So the first person that you meet is the robots. And then there is this robots called Sophia, which is the Saudi citizenship. So they make fun. They say that, okay, since robots also can replace us as a citizen, what happened to you? You might not be so obedient. So a robot is much more obedient to be that. And meet Simon, the first robot with AI that goes into space. So into ISS. Remember when you want to go to the ISS, sometimes you don't need to send people. You just send a robot. It's a ball that can float around, that can talk to you, take instruction, give information, capture and record things, and it is a very small space. So you don't have to bring the whole human astronauts to be inside the ISS, the International Space Station. So that's how they reduce the number of manpower, but they send the robot there. And of course, people in Japan, they even made the animal become a robot. So they replace some of these things, right? The monkeys that comes and eat your your fruits and all that. So they replaced with this robot. But then the question, like what you are saying, is that will all of us are going to be replaced by robots? Okay, if you are an engineer, what's the likelihood of us to be replaced? So there is a study there and says that, okay, out of 366 or 274th percentile, least likely. So you guys working in it as an engineer, you are safe. Okay. And then medical practitioners, how likelihood are you being replaced by automation? The least likely, because the medical practitioners, the doctors, the nurses, we still need to have that human touch, remember? And construction workers. So things which is using very physical things that you can't remember, you want the robots to remember, and things that is being very dangerous area that you want someone else or something to take care of the place. So you use robots to replace you. So it's not all the things. So sometimes you need these machines to replace us in certain kind of jobs. It's not all jobs. So because robots, as you know, they don't have emotion, they don't have the heart. So the people have that, and they don't have that creative thinking yet. Of course, maybe one day they might be so intelligent that they might think by themselves, but maybe now they are not. So if that is the case, that kind of job is going to be very difficult to be replaced. David Tan mentioned that, just my 2 cents, humans should focus on the creative and innovative job, not repetitive job which can be replaced by the tech. You're right, exactly what I mentioned just now. So anything which is repetitive, physically that you can't carry, it's too heavy for you, and things that you need to be very innovative, these are the new jobs of the future. And you are quite safe if you are in that particular era. Danish Amani Chin mentioned that, what about future in hiring people? It definitely will change, right? Do I need to major in IoT instead of accounting, so on? Should we all learn only IoT related? Okay, personal thing, if you say me accounting, maybe it's because calculation is very easy for machines to do that. Maybe it can replace, but I'm not sure. But in IoT, so take a look at this website. So you go to this particular website, you key in the jobs that you're thinking of in your career, and see whether how many percent are you most likely to be replaced by the automation. So it's going to be fun. You try it out. Okay. So this is how you look at the jobs of the future. Key in the name. If I'm a library clerk, what's going to happen? If I'm a scientist, what's the percentage? So this is a good website for you to test. Okay. Okay, but then if you feel that, hey, this is so exciting and we want this IR 4.0, so what exactly is the barriers of this IR 4.0? There are many barriers. One barrier is that a lot of people don't have that clear vision and mission, the problem statement and the business case, and that's a big problem. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to start. Okay, and you don't have enough talent. So the talent nowadays is not like the previous talent. Technology at one time are very slow, but technology today is so fast. Every 2 or 3 years, you can see new things coming in, and people get so fed up or maybe so tired of catching up with the new technology. So the third part is that you need to have a champion that can break all these barriers. So you don't want that old mindset, that there's a lot of companies, big organizations especially, big organizations that hold on, that big organizations that have a lot of department, and they have difficult to break down the silos. Everyone want to make their own decision because new technologies like this go across different divisions in your organization. So you need to have that champion that says that, hey, let's exchange data, let's work together, let's synergize and have one mission. Okay, so then you have that fourth thing, is the most difficult part, is that mindset, the mindset transformation. People are scared to take that particular jump. So remember the days when if you are taking that big jump, or maybe if you have done this bungee jumping, how do you jump in bungee jumping? So you walk at the cliff and you're scared because you don't want to jump, because the only thing that hangs you is tied you up is only one string, and you're worried that string will just cut off and you're going to just drop dead. So that's why people are worried to make that particular jump. And but then the only way to do that is to make that little push. So you need to push that. So what the kind of little push that we are required? Because a lot of times people always sleep and they don't have time to wake up, and they go and dream, and a lot of things dream, and they didn't make any action. So we need that wake up call. So the only wake up call that we're facing now, and you know that this wake up call is the COVID-19. So I've been talking a lot of presentations, businesses, talk up to the CEOs and all that. But I think the best wake up call is COVID-19. Do you know why? So COVID-19, what happened is that it changed the way that we think. This is what we heard about the new norm. The new norm is that we don't do things which is normally what we do. Normally we need to meet people, and now we don't need to meet people, because the only way that we can meet people is through technology, is through virtual, is through online. The day, normally that we need to go to the restaurant to sit down and eat, so now we don't have to do that. We just order that online. So it's all using the runner and all that to buy you food, and buy things online. So at one time you're scared to even use your credit card or whatever to purchase online. Now you have to believe that technology helps you in making sure that you can ease your daily life problems. Okay. David Tan, BFM refer COVID-19 as mother of digitization. Yes, that's right, the mother of digitization. But I'm worried that after our MCO, after our lockdown, we go back to the old norm, not becoming the new norm, right? Okay. So we still need to change the whole thing. So why now the ripple that we are seeing is now becoming a tsunami? So there are several factors, the growth factors. As I mentioned to you, when you drop a pebble or rock into the water, it could have this ripple. And this ripple, when it joins together with another ripple, it becomes bigger. So these are the ripples that I've seen. So the first thing is like hardware. Hardware is becoming cheaper and smaller. You can see the connectivity is so pervasive. Everywhere you go, you can have connectivity. Software development is so simple now. So what happened is that now you can even, you can even write codes. Sometimes people don't even write codes. They drag and drop and create an app. So the Moore's law is where the number of transistors double every year. So you can have a big jump of technology, miniaturization happens. Metcalfe's law, the network effects, when everything is connected, you have that tremendous power of connectivity or networks. So even like social media, the social media graph, that you guys are well connected. Most likely you and me, myself, and Audrey is just one step away. With David, maybe two steps away. Maybe someone unknown, maybe just 2 or 3 steps away. So that's how the network effects comes in. So when the sensors, the networks are being well connected, you can see how how it can be collect different data. So why the need for us to collect this data, or why for the question, why do we need to get things connected to the internet or the internet of things? The main thing is that you need to ensure that whenever you want to convert a product or solutions to solve your problem, you need to find the right the assets that you want to monitor. That asset can be the most important asset to you, for personal or for business. So for example, a human might say that their health is their asset. They want to know, am I healthy? So the bus is also an asset for two parties, for the people who wants to take a bus and for the bus owner, right? And where can I and then about the parking lot, for the user, they want to know where can I park. So when you send goods, you want to know, ensure that the goods are maintained quality. In your house, you want to know, ensure that safety, security. You want to know the consumption of electricity bill. During your lockdown, what happened? You got a bill and says that, hey, why my bill is suddenly like a bomb? In fact, if you can have if our utility can even monitor the bill from remote rather than go to the site, they can in fact give you monthly report. So that's why sensors like this is required. So for the health, you might require a wearable device. So for the bus, you might have a GPS, OBD, resides inside the bus. So as a parking lot, you might have a sensors that detect the car or the car that parked on top of the bus. You can have temperature, humidity to check the quality of the goods. You might have a camera for the house, or you might have electrical sensors that measure the consumption of your electricity. Okay. Audrey also mentioned that, okay, take a look at this website. Okay, Audrey has given that website, and take a look at that website, because that website will tell you if that is your career. Key it in and see whether you are still valid, or whether you are still required in the future. So when you have devices or products being connected to the internet with some sensors, it will tell you a lot of things about your customer business. If you are the business owner or the product owner, it will tell you which feature the customer use your product for. Okay, so if you have this, put sensors here, which features that you usually use it, and where exactly that this product is being used, how frequent you use this product, and why people use it, and how the customer actually use this product, point it or what. Okay, so once we have that, like a washing machine, when a washing machine have sensors, is connected to the internet, it sends this data to the manufacturer. The manufacturer will know how you actually use your washing machine. Okay, when you want to implement IoT, it has different phases of technology maturity. It has different phases too. Okay, it has 4 phases. The simplest one, the number one, is you have the ability to monitor. The second, you have actuators you can control. The third, you have the ability to optimize when you have many sensors inside there. The fourth, you can make it autonomous. It runs by itself. Okay. So let's take a look at an example. The monitoring, that's the simplest one. If you have a car, you want to monitor, you put a GPS, you put OBD inside there, you can tell us the location of the car. As simple as that. And once you want to control the car, so you put actuators, it can immobilize the car if someone steals your car, or no one takes your car away and you stop the engine. Okay. And thirdly, you can optimize the car. So when they have sensors and check the fuel, the battery, the engine, optimize the engine. So you can send the car whenever it has problem, or you will know exactly when to send for the next maintenance. Okay. Number four is when there's a lot of sensors within the car. It, 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 it becomes your eyes. It drives by itself. So it becomes self-cruising, self-driving car. So that's the future. So Arina Azarachin. So with IoT and robotic as a surgeon, we can remotely perform a surgery from Malaysia to a patient in India, right? Yes, but you must use a network which is fast enough, doesn't have any delay. So for example, even the car like this, if the car have certain delay, you might have problem because as human, you might see there's an object in front, but if the car responds very late, there's a delay, then the car will crash into that particular object. So we don't want to do that. So what we want is that a network which is fast enough, faster than what the people can think of, and machines that can think faster than the human. So whenever you have new technologies come in, it becomes very disruptive. Uber is very disruptive. You know, at one time you say that only taxi driver. So when Uber came in, everyone can become a taxi driver, right? So but what happened when there is driverless taxi? So there's no taxi driver anymore. So you're out of job. At one time you said I have the job. Now you have no job at all. So that becomes a very totally change the whole landscape. And then what happened is that there's a big challenge also. There's this big challenge about the autonomous car, because autonomous car comes in different levels of automation. The first three levels, I would say 0, 1, 2. There's no automation, where everything is manual. And then the driver can have control, and then you have partial automation. At least a button that can press and can just move. But the moment you hand over your driving to the machine, to the car, then it becomes autonomous. There are level 3, 4, and 5. The best part is level 5. When if you go into a car, there's no steering wheel. It's only dashboard. There's no way for you to control. That's level 5. Level 4 is when there's still a steering wheel, but the car drives by itself. Okay. So what happened when the car drives by itself at level 5? So you are embedding yourself, embedding the driver's ethics inside the car. So what happened? I ask you one question. What happened in this situation? If you are driving in level 5 and you somehow have this problem of the car is unable to stop, there's some problems with the machine and the car cannot stop, there's 3 choices. It goes to the right, it goes to the left, or it goes to straight. So in this option, if you go to the right, you might hit a group of children. 2 or 3 children will die. You turn to the left, the car turn to the left, it will hit the old man or ladies will die. You go straight, you hit the wall, you will die. The driver themselves will die. So what's the possibility of this car? Which option which the car will take the decision? So for some people, they say, okay lah, the old man or the old lady live too long already, so apa, you go to the left. And the children still wants to live longer, so they don't take the right. But if you want to become the hero, you just straight. So it depends on what the car is being embedded into the ethics. So this have been studied as a research work in MIT, and you can take a look at that. So what happened when we thought that everything is fine, everything is so disruptive with that driverless car. But when the taxi or the car can fly, what happened? It's also disrupt another business. So it becomes regulatory issues too, right? So that's what happened when you need to have this trial. You need to have this pilot trial whenever a new technology comes in. So there are 4 reasons why we need a national trial, so that we understand these 4 things. The first one, we got to understand the technology maturity. How mature is the technology? Because for example, like the flying car, flying taxi, it can only fly, the battery can last only 30 minutes. So you have to ensure when you fly, you must arrive at your destination less than 30 minutes. Otherwise, you will just drop dead from the sky. Okay. The second one is that you want to understand the market adoption. How people adopt and see these new technologies. For women, for example, when you see a driverless car stops by a taxi, that you say, okay, where's the driver? There's no driver. Would you love to take the taxi? And the third, the business model. What happened is that the business might be changed. For example, if you want to arrive to KL within less than 30 minutes, you can take the flying taxi. Otherwise, different normal transport, it will take you beyond the 30 minutes. You unsure when you can arrive. So it's become an outcome-based business model. It's not like you pay per use, pay per distance or whatever. But the fourth part is where the regulatory comes in place, because new technologies like this, for example, drones. When drones are used to send parcels to your house, can it fly across over your house? Can it fly anywhere? Can it fly without a pilot that controls you from below? So in certain countries, when you send a parcel using the drones, it will just not send you drop in front of your house. No, it doesn't do that. So you might have two cabins. One cabin is the one that sends all your parcels are inside this cabin. It will use the robot, pass to the drones, and the drones will fly on a specific route. So you cannot just go zigzag and whatever, one route, and arrive to another cabin, another place, maybe your taman or your housing area. So this cabin also have a robot who will take the parcel from the drones and put inside the cabin, and you will get a QR code. You receive a QR code, you scan it to the cabin, and the robot will take the item out. So that's one way, but it's quite complex and expensive. So we are not sure of how, whenever new technologies like this is going to be implemented. So that's why we have like futurized, the government have launched a National Technology and Innovation Sandbox. So this is when we use this platform to test new technologies. Okay, I have a few more slides. I just want to share with you guys. Okay. So how do you implement an IoT solutions? You must understand when you collect enough data, this data can come from many places. So the data comes from in the building, the lights, the people, the dogs, the cats also can generate data. And this data come in many forms. It can come in big volume, small volume, variety, text, multimedia, video. It can come in velocity, very fast, very slow. In veracity, it's very uncertain, the data. So you need to crunch the numbers and you have to make insights of the data, because data alone at the bottom is purely symbols. It doesn't mean anything, or it's less important. Even though data is oil, but it's black oil. So once the data is being crunched, when you can answer the questions of who, what, when, it's become information. People are willing to pay for that. When the questions can answer, and when you can answer the questions how, it become knowledge. When you can answer the questions why, it become understanding. But the highest part is where the human is, the wisdom, the evaluated understanding. Like the Star Wars, what's the I don't know what's that guy name, very small thing, Okay, so it's very wise wisdom. So people pay when it goes to the higher level of the value pyramid. People pay more. As businessmen, as organizations, as company, we just want to know why our business is down by 30%, why our business is still not growing for another 10% every year. So then you need to answer the questions of how to do that, and then you have to find the right devices to put in place. So for example, if you want to collect the data, you got to understand first whether the data is personal, private, public, or commercial. Personal is yours, you own it. Private is someone, it's a company. Public is maybe the government. The fourth is commercial, you can sell the data. So once you identify who the ownership of the data, that you can build a business. So for example, for smart parking, you know that when you have sensors that can sense the data, the who park at a particular lot, whether there's a car on top of it or not, either it's empty or full, it's okay, but you want to have more. You want to know who, what, where, and when about the parking lot. You want to know how to implement a tiered parking mechanism. You want to know how to find an overstayed vehicle. And you want to know, finally, you want to know why my parking utilization is low as compared to my competitor. So with that, you find the right sensors to do that. GPS sensors, identity sensors, metal sensors, time, clock, and whatever sensors information must be captured initially. So from there, you can have different kind of application sensors being connected at your home, your waste, your garbage bin, your health, your transport, the office, all have different sensors. But the best part, if you have a platform that can aggregate all these sensors together, is much better. So you allow other people to create applications for you. You can blend the data. So you can have home, waste, health, you have one application. You have waste, health, and transport, another application. You can imagine a lot of applications can be built. Okay. So just talk a while. Audrey mentioned, with all the Internet of Things devices to machine like washing machine and cars, do we need to start to change it from our home, or we wait for the government or private company? For example, like smart home, should it start from the developer and contractors? I think most people want to have smart home to transform to IR 4.0, but who should start? That's a good question. It's all about the right business models. A lot of times now you are seeing that there are companies who provide the services. So you know that even like Airbnb is not being provided by the hotel, someone provide the services, right? So you see that Uber, they are not they are not taxi, but they are building a taxi company. So that's why I think there's a blend, there's a disruption of new business model comes in place. Okay, now maybe I'd like to introduce a little bit about ourselves, Fabric, what we are doing now in the era of 4.0, and what we are doing to help the ecosystem, to help the industry. So we built a platform called Fabric IoT Middleware, the platform. This platform will ease you in terms of development. So you can connect whatever sensors that you have, regardless whether the sensors is just individual devices, a gateway, whatever, using REST, MQTT, CoAP protocol, you can connect to the platform. It aggregates all these different protocols, and we open up. We have an API. We allow developers to come in, take the data out, create their own applications. So we have built our own applications. For example, we have built for tourism, we have built for smart city, we have built for healthcare and all that, using the same application. You just scan the QR code, you can subscribe this for free if you want to. Okay, so this is on the cloud, so users can do this. Initially, when we started off this journey, we don't have enough talent to build this. So that's why we open up the whole ecosystem to allow people, to allow the students in the universities, whoever training providers, use this platform to create applications. So instead of months, you can do that in weeks. Instead of weeks, you can do this in days. So we provide a lot of information in terms of the examples, the videos, the source codes. You can try it out whenever you are free to do that. Okay. So we have this ecosystem of developers, so we call the generation IoT people. So we push this movement around the world. More than 100 countries around the world have been using this. Maybe about 3,200 now. Developers are using this platform to create their own applications, because for us, we cannot build so many applications. So we want you guys to come on board and create your own vertical applications. Try it out. It's free for now, so you try it out. So what we want is that we want to cross this chasm, because IoT took us a long time. Kevin Ashton had mentioned that since 1999, and that was more than 20 years ago. Why only now that we have listened about this and thought that, okay, now we are using this? So we want to cross that chasm. We want to make sure that the innovators, the people like us, the early adopters who create new products, want to cross that chasm, so that we have a lot of people, the early majority comes in and buy it out, because we are going to come to another cycle of wave. So it will, so you don't want to become the laggards. So now the question is, how do we start our journey? It's simple. There are 3 steps. You start small. You focus your solution to a specific application, which a specific problem that can have a very immediate impact. Develop one. You get that buy-in from your C level, and then you can start to another journey by building another applications. Later, you can integrate your current application to the back-end system, your existing system. Once you have done that, you can create, you can innovate, you can create your new workflow, create new business model, you can create better analytics, because the data that you've collected now becoming a lot more. So so with that, I would like to say thank you very much. You guys can join this favorite IoT platform mentioned here. I'll just take a look at some of the questions here, which I might like to answer. Okay. David Tan mentioned, yes. I remember now, Master Yoda. Master Yoda, that's very wise Yoda. Okay. Okay. Maybe I'm not very familiar about the SE sex jam protocol yet. I can answer about that. Yes. So guys, you can join us on this journey by just scan this and previously what we have done is that we mentioned that you can just subscribe to the platform, and it's quite easy, and you can host it on the cloud. But a lot of people say that I don't want to host my data on the cloud because sometimes it's about regulation. People says that the data needs to reside within our organizations. Some data needs to reside within the country. So you say that you want to be very closer to your existing systems. So you don't want downtime. You are worried about downtime. You want to have better control. So now we are offering this platform instead of the cloud, public cloud, into your on-premise or even the private clouds. And you can do that too. No issue about that. So thank you very much. Let me check again once more for any questions. I only check from the Learninpal. So if guys, again, if you still, if just click like, share, and comment this Learninpal page, because there's a lot more webinars here. So I would like to thank a lot of people here who also invited me. Audrey, Annabelle, Chin. So Audrey, thank you very much for inviting me. And okay. Okay. So that's it. Thank you very much. And see you again. Okay, one thing. If you guys want to contact me, you just search Mazlan Abbas at Favorite, and you can find me there. Do I have my email here? Let me share my email. Or you can go to the Favorite website and also can contact us over there, and you can check my Twitter and Mazlan_Abbas, or Instagram. I'm on all the social media. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.